Hello everyone, I'm Mr. Furlong, and today we're going to spend our energy talking about cell respiration. Cellular respiration is the process in which we can take the food that we've eaten and extract the energy from it so that we can do all those things that's needed to keep us alive. Now when you hear the word respiration, what might come to mind is something like this. Well, this is really not respiration. Respiration is technically an exchange of gases. What SpongeBob is doing here is breathing, or to be even more specific, it's ventilating. It's taking in air and exhaling air. But although he's under the water, so I'm not exactly sure how that works. Anyways, with cell respiration, again, respiration is this exchange of gases, and that's happening at the cellular level where oxygen is going into the cells, and as a byproduct, carbon dioxide is being made, and that's going to be leaving the cells, just like we see in our lungs, oxygen coming into our lungs, carbon dioxide we're exhaling out. But this is happening in the process known as cell respiration, where organisms use this process to extract energy from their food using oxygen. And that's a very important part. That oxygen has to be used in this process of cell respiration. Now we know that all organisms get their energy from food. Now when I think about food, and maybe when you think about food, we think about things like this, like chocolate cake or a cheeseburger. Oh, steak, that's so good. Okay, I'm really starting to get hungry here. But we take a look at all these foods and ice cream. Okay, anyways, we eat these things, we break it down into their basic component parts, into carbohydrates and lipids and proteins, and we can use that as energy. Now when we think about, though, what food is, this is what I think about as food. But other organisms might have something else as what they think of as food. For instance, many think this is food, right? They will spend their whole day eating it. Or like an earthworm, they might be getting their food from what's inside of the dirt. They don't actually get their energy from the dirt, but the organic compounds in there. Termites eat wood, and that's where they get their food from. So just because I'm using the word food, we have to keep in mind that lots of organic compounds are considered food. We also have to remember that there's different ways of getting their food. So for instance, autotrophs can make their own food. Auto means self, troph means to feed. So these are literally self-feeders, like plants. They're carrying out the process of photosynthesis, making glucose. Heterotrophs, we know, have to obtain their food somehow. Get ready. Here we see a lion that is devouring, I'm going to say that was a wildebeest. Now there's two different ways in which we can actually get energy from the food that we get. One is through anaerobic respiration, and that root word there, aeros, means air, or specifically oxygen. An means without. So anaerobic respiration does not need oxygen to take place. Sometimes we refer to this as fermentation. We'll take a look at that in another video. The problem is, for every one glucose, we only net gain 2 ATPs, not a whole lot of energy. With aerobic respiration, which is the actual name for cell respiration, it does require oxygen. Here, there's a much bigger payoff. For every one glucose, instead of netting 2 ATPs, organisms will net 36 ATPs. Certainly a much greater yield if you can carry out cell respiration versus anaerobic respiration. So now let's take a look at this balanced chemical equation for cell respiration. We have C6H12O6 along with 6 O2s yield 6 CO2s, 6 H2Os, and 36 ATPs. I hope this looks familiar to you because it's basically the photosynthesis equation just flipped around. And cell respiration takes place in the mitochondria of cells. Cells are loaded with mitochondria, especially if they need a lot of energy. One interesting thing about mitochondria is that if we need more energy, like say in our muscle cells, we start to run and we start to exercise, and the energy demand is greater, we will make more mitochondria so that we have more energy available to us. Kind of fascinating, really. Well, let's real quick take a look at the structure of the mitochondria. It is a double-layered membrane, just like we saw with the chloroplast. There's an outer membrane called the outer membrane. There's a folded inner membrane called the cristae. And then it is also filled with a fluid. In this case, it's called the matrix. And yes, that means that the matrix does exist. Anyways, we can see a lot of similarities between the structure of the mitochondria and the chloroplasts. In cell respiration, there are 3 stages that take place. The first stage is glycolysis, and that's happening out in the cytoplasm of the cell, so that's not even taking place in the mitochondria. Followed by the Krebs cycle, and that's happening in the fluid part of the mitochondria. And then lastly, we see electron transport, and that's taking place on the cristae inside of the mitochondria. So again, real quick, glycolysis is taking place out in the cytoplasm, the Krebs cycle taking place in the matrix of the mitochondria in the fluid part, and electron transport taking place on the cristae. So that's just a quick overview on cell respiration. In the next video, we're going to take a look at the specifics of cell respiration, one of my favorite all-time topics, and I can't wait to tell you about it. See you then.